Now going to take a trip down to the lake to show observation point A and the reference poles. The path leading down to the lake from the house is about 200 feet. Con, of course, is always in a playful mood and wants me to throw sticks for him. He certainly loves his sticks. Coming up on the right-hand side, you'll see part of my marker pole inventory. They're comprised of 10-foot long, 4-inch diameter sewer pipes. These are the green ones on the right-hand side here. This is part of the inventory. The rest of the pole inventory is down on the lake. And coming up below, further down the path, is a stack of 18-foot and 20-foot 2x4s. These get strapped to the poles, and the targets are attached to these 2x4s, and the 2x4s are moved up and down alongside the sewer pipes to adjust the target height. Coming up here is observation point A, the reference point. You'll see that I brought some wet sand in about a week ago, leveled it out, and put this triangular base in the wet sand and let it all freeze. The purpose of this wooden triangular base is to give the tripods a solid base to hold them in position. You'll notice that the tripods have these spikes at the ends. These surveying tripods have these spikes, and they dig into the ground. But in the frozen ground, what happens is later on in the spring, as the ground thaws, they tend to dig in more, and then the tripod shifts. And what I learned from last year is to give them a good steady base with this wood triangle. And the tripod, once you get it set up, it won't shift, and you don't have to keep fiddling with it over time as the spikes dig into the ground. A couple years ago, before I purchased the TopCon Total Station, I made this little angular sighting apparatus that's on top of the tripods. It's just comprised of a ring marked off in degrees, and it gives me the capability of getting angular measures within a couple tenths of a degree. There's a sighting hole in that wood piece that you can see that 30-60 triangle plexiglass on top, and if you look in, you can see the sighting hole for precisely sighting something in the distance, and then can read off the angle. And right now I have it set up for sighting true north. True north is over there on the Canadian shore. That far shore is the Canadian shore, and by sighting through that peephole, like I said, I can get about 2/10 of a degree. It's cold out. I didn't want to bring the TopCon Total Station out. So I'm just using this to get a rough reading on things. True north is just to the left of that power tower. You can see there's a group of trees just to the left of the base, and then there's a smaller tree kind of in the center there that's directly above that green fish house. The green fish house that's to the left of that little white one. That little tree there is right on true north. So by sighting that little tree there, we know exactly where true north is to within several minutes. I've been able to verify that many different ways. Last year, I had my poles set up out towards this area in here, and we're going to do the north arm a little bit further east, which will be near the tip of an island over there, which is almost exactly 3 miles away. It's 3.01 miles to the rocks on that island, where we'll be putting the last marker pole for the north, and then there will be a couple marker poles in between that spot and this reference point out on the ice. And if we swing to 70 degrees to the east, this is where the east arm is going to be set up, going out in this direction. And as we zoom in, you'll see in the center of the screen where we can see the marker, the channel marker at the end of Franzen Island. You see that coming up in the center of the screen. That's 2.7 miles away. The actual marker, our marker, will be about 50 feet to the left of that out on the ice. That's so that we can sink a hole in the ice and get the actual lake level. If I put the pole up on the rocks on Franzen Island, it'd be very difficult to know where the lake level is. So we'll put the marker out on the ice. So this is our reference point, and we'll be sighting 2 measurement arms. Now let's go down the lake and show you the reference pole that I put in the other day. This reference pole is for the north arm. Sawed a hole in the ice and sank the post in and froze it in place, and then we'll add another 10-foot section on top. You can see the reference point where the TopCon toll station and auto level will be. There's our tripod. It's about 14 feet up above the ice, 12 to 14 feet. I haven't measured it yet, but it'll be sufficiently high to minimize refraction effects above the ice. Severe refraction tends to occur within the first 4 or 5 feet, so if we get above that, we minimize the refraction. I'm going to put in the second reference marker pole. This will be for the east leg out towards Franzen Island. Here you can see I'm chainsawing a hole in the ice. It'll be about 20 inches deep, and then put the post in and freeze it in place. Chainsaw works very nice for this particular purpose. It's much quicker than using an ice auger. Now I'm grabbing a chisel here to chisel the pieces out of the hole. Con, of course, is always trying to lend a hand. This operation generally takes about 10 minutes to put a hole in the ice of proper depth. Have to chop the ice and break it into pieces, and then pull the pieces out of the hole. Here you can see the finished hole. It's about 20 inches deep. The ice at this point, at this particular spot, is around 25 inches thick. So we didn't go through the ice. We're about 20 inches down. So then I insert the pole in the hole and level it, and then freeze it in place. You can see here I'm taking the a level and making sure it's plumb in both north-south and east-west directions. So there I'm stomping snow in the hole, and then once I have it level, now I'm pouring water into the hole and making slush around the pipe, and by tomorrow, the next day, it will be frozen in place. Good and solid. Now, Con and I are taking a trip out onto the ice road. Here, we're jumping off land onto the lake ice. This is a ice road that goes around Sand Bay, where I live, a few miles. There's a north arm to it and a west arm. We're shortly here, we're going to get off the main road and take the north arm that will swing over towards Franzen Island. We can't get all the way to Franzen Island, but we can get about halfway there on the ice road. And we're just going to do a little bit of survey to get a feel for how thick the ice is and what the snow conditions are out on the ice. You can get it going at a pretty good clip here on the ice road. I'll be doing close to 70 miles an hour coming up here. So it's very easy to get out and around on the ice with a vehicle. A little later in the spring, the snow will start disappearing and we'll be able to travel just about anywhere. Right now the snow's a little bit too deep for me to take my Nissan Altima out there. I'd need a four-wheel drive truck or snowmobile. But in a few weeks it ought to become navigable with the sedan, because the snow will start sublining and melting off the ice. Here we're coming to the end of, as far as I can go to the east on this particular ice road. Now I'm going to sight the marker over on Franzen. At this point in the ice road, the GPS indicates that I'm at 48.62328 north latitude by 93.28064 west longitude. If you look in the center of the screen, I'm zooming in to Franzen Island. You can see the marker again at the end of Franzen Island. We're about halfway there from where we were a bit ago at the reference point A back at the property. This is a fairly cool day. It was about minus 20 degrees Celsius, but very sunny out. The cold days tend to be sunny days where we don't have any clouds that hold in the heat. Looking out this way, we're looking at the Canadian shore. The power towers for the high tension lines are on the Canadian side. That's the Canadian shore we see there. And now we're panning over to the west. Over there in the distance, that's the town of International Falls. That's steam from the paper mill in the sky. This is Sand Bay that we're looking over. It's about 2 miles over to the Canadian shore. Con always finds this amusing. So now we're going to head back. We're on a little different part of the ice road heading towards home. We're traveling in a southeasterly direction. We're out in the middle of Sand Bay at the moment. The ice measured is about 25 to 27 inches thick here. The water depth is a little over 20 feet beneath the ice. So the ice is plenty strong. This is really nice ice. It's all what we call black ice, or The guys in Norway call it steel ice. It's the strongest ice you can find. It's very clear and very strong. Okay, I went back out onto the ice road, and now I'm going to put in the first marker pole. I have to hike about a quarter mile from the car to get to the proper spot. Hauling the chainsaw, the marker pole, and level, and the shovel. I've just carved a hole in the ice 20 inches deep and put the pole in and leveled it out. And I've strapped the 2x4 with the marker target on it. You can see how I configure this. Is the marker pole, the sewer pipe is frozen into the ice, and then the 2x4 is strapped to that using 2 hose clamps, and the target is attached to the 2x4. And the 2x4 can be adjusted up and down by just loosening these 2 hose clamps, and then can adjust the marker pole or the target by adjusting the 2x4 along the sewer pipe. And I have a spot marked on the 2x4 which is 72 inches exactly from the center of the target, so we don't have to keep measuring to the center of the target. All we have to do is measure to that line, to the surface of the water, take the height from the surface of the water to that mark, and then add 72 inches, and that gives us the height of the water to the center of the target. There we can see Franzen Island again. Here are the GPS coordinates of the first marker pole. We're at 48.62134 degrees north by 93.27999 degrees west. And this marker pole is at 1.36 miles from the observation point A, which is halfway in between the marker that will be on Franzen Island. And here we are back on the ice road looking at the marker pole that I just put in. We're looking to the south east. And here's another view from a little further down on the ice road at the marker, the first marker, which again is at 1.36 miles from the observation point. This is looking at the target through the TopCon auto level. You can see that the target needs to be raised, probably be about 1 target height. It's a little low to the crosshairs. It's not very sharp or bright because it's a heavy overcast day. We're not getting very good light right now. So as you can see, I have the TopCon all level set up at the observation point A. Franzen Island. This is when I was doing some measurements during the fall equinox. This is the TopCon total station, the GTS 3C, and I was going to make a submission to Wolfie's equinox challenge, and I got thwarted in the last hour. Clouds rolled in and hid the sun from me. But this is a very nice observation point. There's 2 very flat rock ledges here. You can see the GPS coordinates at this spot. We're at 48.62723 degrees north by 93.25123, I believe that was, degrees west. here we are, we're looking to the northwest there. And this is the marker on Franzen Island that we've been seeing at the center of the screen. You can see it's mounted on the bedrock of the island. And much to my surprise, when looking around on the island, I found this geodetic marker right next to the channel marker here on Franzen Island. We're looking here again to the Canadian shore, zooming in on what's called the causeway on the Trans-Canada Highway. This highway goes 250 miles island hopping towards Thunder Bay, Ontario from Francis, Ontario. It's a very nice scenic drive. Now here's that geodetic marker that I found. This particular marker is an international boundary marker. You can see that on here, international boundary. And right next to it is this geodetic marker. Right here, which is pretty interesting. So this is from the U.S. Geological Survey.